Hey everyone, David Nagel here. Today I'm taking you inside the universal law of vibration. In this video, I'm going to be giving you the definition, the real world examples of how you can use this law to benefit your life and so much more. Make sure you subscribe and comment down below your biggest takeaway. Let's get into it. So let me tell you what the law of vibration actually is. First of all, it was closely associated with something called the law of attraction. Now, number one, the law of attraction isn't even a law. It's a subsidiary law of the law of vibration. The law of vibration works off of this premise, that every single thing in the universe is in a constant state of motion. Energy is always moving. And so in many cases, we call that vibration. Like molecules are always vibrating, they're always moving. And everything moves at a certain frequency. So what's interesting about the law of vibration is this. We think in frequencies. Now, that's important to understand because as we change the way that we think, what we don't realize is that we're literally changing the frequency in which we're thinking on, and it can allow us to line up with different pieces of information, different knowledge that's actually in the universe, and it's based on how we think or the frequency in which we're thinking. But you have to remember something important. We do not, and this is where self-improvement has gone really wrong, we do not change the way we think and the results automatically change. We change the way that we think so that we can perceive differently and we understand what to change in the physical universe of what we actually do. How we think about things to be more productive, how we perceive things to see the opportunities. Like last week when we talked about the law of polarity, in order for that law to work, you have to be able to perceive something based on how you changed your thinking about that thing so that you can see the other side to it or the other potential of it. It's not like you're just changing your thinking and something different shows up. So we're all pretty familiar with the idea of a radio. Back in the day, radio was AM, FM, and it operated on frequencies. You have a rock station, you have a folk station, you have country, you have sports radio, you have news radio, you may even have political, you have weather, classical music, jazz. If you're in a city and if you have a radio in your house, in your room, there's something that's really fascinating about this idea that at the same time, all of these different radio stations are playing in the room that you're in right now. So you're in a room and you're in or near a city. That city has multitude of radio stations that are broadcasting signals, but you can't hear them. And you can't hear them because you don't have a radio that's tuned into the very specific station that will allow you to hear, say, jazz music. So let's say you're in a room, you have a radio, you turn it to the station in your city that jazz music is being broadcast on, and now you hear the jazz music that's already in your room. Well, at the same time, you have rock and you have classical and you have country and all these other different stations at the same time, but you can't hear them. But now let's say you want to hear them. All you have to do is to literally turn the station to a different frequency. Bam, you hear it in the room that you're in. But keep in mind, there's probably 40 different stations in that room that you can't hear because you're not programmed or dialed into that frequency. Now, why is this important? What's important is that if you went back, say, 150 years ago, if you would have told people that you lived in a world where there was all these different kinds of music, that there were stories, that there was news, that there were all these different stations and things that you could hear in the same room that you're in right now, and you had a box that would allow you to turn a knob, and as you turn that knob, you could go from rock music to jazz music to country music, they probably would have locked you up and thrown away the key because it's outside of the reality that they understand in that world. But We now live in that world, and actually we live past that world into a world where we even have almost every bit of information that is documented at our fingertips based on a computer, but it still is operating with the same kind of an idea of a frequency bringing information in. We live in that world now, which changes the potential immensely. So what does that have to do with the law of vibration and how it works with a human being? Well, our mind operates on the same premise. As we think, we're thinking in frequencies. If I'm thinking about things that are good and loving and fair and just, I'm thinking along a very specific frequency, which allows me to tap into more thoughts that are very similar to the ones that I'm thinking. I'm thinking along ideas and thoughts based on a specific frequency, which allows me to tap into more of that that's actually in the universe. Every single thing that we create with human hands, this digital board that I'm using, the cameras that I'm speaking to, the wires that are attached to them, the computers that are in the studio that I'm in right now, however it is that you're watching what you're watching, the chair or the sofa that you're sitting on, all of those things were information that existed in the universe, and we could only begin to think about them as we changed our thought process and dialed into the frequency or the vibration in which they were being broadcast. And as we did that, that information came to our mind. As it came to our mind, we were able to focus in on it based on the law of cause and effect, because the law of perpetual transmutation of energy was bringing that information to us, and then we could use our power to choose or make a decision to take that information and create whatever it is that we wanted in our life. What's so fantastic about the law of vibration is that we live in this world where we have so many different experiences, but if we don't understand how to think about those experiences, very often we stay stuck in situations that we don't like. There's no reason for us to do that. If we understand that if we want to think more thoughts along the same lines of what we want, if we want more information on how to do things based on a desire or a dream or a wish, if we think along those lines, we will bring more information in based on that law of vibration. It allows us to literally raise the way that we think to a completely different level of information, and we think more things on that level. Everything in the universe operates on frequency and vibration. We understand the molecular structure of things based on the vibration, based on the molecules that things are made from, and at the speed in which they move or the speed in which they don't move. It's extremely powerful for us to be able to understand that if I want to create more thoughts and understand more information based on something that I'm currently thinking, like when I talked about Edison trying to invent the light bulb, he had to think along the lines of the light bulb, and based on the law of cause and effect, what information did he need? He needed to focus in on those ideas and those laws. He was literally focusing in using the law of vibration, focusing in on the same frequency, and then he became aware of the information that he was trying to tap into. We all do this. Whether we understand this law or not, we can be completely ignorant of this law. But the truth is that when we focus in on a very specific idea, we think more thoughts that are based on the same frequency and the same idea. That, folks, is the law of vibration and how it works. When we focus in on this and we're thinking about other people or opportunities, we're then going to train our mind to look for people that are thinking along the same lines, the same frequencies, the same ideas. And are we attracting ourselves to them? Well, I think what we call attraction is awareness. It's being aware of other people that have the same interests and ideas that we do, so that we can then develop relationships and communication with those people to be able to do things to move forward. It's not like you're going to focus on somebody based on the law of vibration, and tomorrow morning they're going to show up at your front door. It's a fun thought, but it's probably not based in reality more than what's really true about the idea is that we're in harmony. When we're thinking about the same goals, the same types of things, I do really believe that you have to beware of anybody that tells you that you can use this law to create something in your life without doing anything, because that is just not true. And it leads people down manipulative roads. And what's unfortunate is that then they throw all of the information with the universal laws in the garbage, and they don't actually really understand that these laws are basically what they are in a nutshell is the way human beings think. And when we understand how to think, we understand how to create the life that we want. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming Universal Law videos. I challenge you, while you're waiting for the next video, to implement this law into your life and let me know the results in the comments. See you again soon.